Welcome back. Today we're going to make homemade chicken or turkey noodle soup. You can use either one. You can make this soup with a rotisserie chicken, or you can use a raw chicken, just like we're going to be doing today. Or you can also use turkey. So you can use the leftover turkey carcass and you can make that be your base. Either way, we start out with a pot with water and then we put that chicken right inside the pot, get that going. Next, we're going to take a whole onion, a large onion, and we are going to chop that onion up into, some pretty fine pieces. It doesn't have to be super fine, but that's going to go right into the water to help flavor up that chicken or turkey, whichever you choose, and give it some really nice flavor. The key here is to not be in a hurry. We want to make sure that this comes out really flavorful. So once that chicken starts boiling, you want to turn it down a little bit so that it has a nice slower boil. And all these veggies we're going to add in are going to contribute to the flavor, and we're just going to make sure that it has plenty of time to simmer. Once we take those bones out of the soup and we set that aside until it cools a little bit, we're going to continue with simmering of this soup to continue to make it be really flavorful. I'd say when I make the chicken noodle soup or turkey noodle, whichever you choose, I probably will let that simmer on the stove for about 2 hours or 3 hours once the meat is done, and just let it continue to get a rich flavor as it goes. Next, we're chopping up, I believe I had about 7 stalks of celery that I have washed and trimmed, and I just cut it up to the size I want. I kind of like them a little bit smaller, and then I put that in with the chicken and the onion and let that do its magic. Now you can choose to put whatever vegetables that you want to in there. I just find that the onion, the celery, and the carrots add a really nice flavor to it, and it gives you that really delicious homemade taste. Next, I've got some carrots, and I believe I have 7 good-sized carrots, just because we like a lot of carrots. And I've washed and peeled these and trimmed them up a little bit. And then if you've got really large carrots, you may want to slice them down the center. If they're not super crazy large, then just go ahead and cut those. About 1/4 inch in size is what I'm doing. Now it may seem like you're getting a lot of carrots in this pot, but really all this stuff is going to cook down. And it's, like I said, these carrots really add a lot of flavor to that soup. Here we go. We've got a couple of big ones, so we're going to take those. We're going to slice those in half. And try real hard not to slice your fingers as you're doing that. In the pot we go. And I love this little scraping tool that I have. It really is just like it's a godsend in the kitchen to me, because it really helps you so you don't be dropping things on the floor. And it just helps pick it up quicker and get it into your pot. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to add some bouillon cubes. And I always use Knorr because they have the best flavor. So I have such a large pot, I'm going to use 3 cubes of the Knorr. And I just kind of crumble it up and drop it in. You can use any brand that you want to. You could use Better Than Bouillon if you like. That's a really good one. Yeah, you can use like I said, any kind of bouillon that you want. You could even start this with chicken broth if you prefer, but I kind of like doing it this way so that I can control how much there is in the soup. Here we go. And then of course, once the chicken is finished cooking, then you're going to want to taste it anyway to make sure that you have enough seasoning in it. The next thing I do is I'm going to add some garlic.
And I use garlic powder because there is quite a bit of salt in those cubes, so I don't want to go overboard. So that's probably about a tablespoon. And it's all kind of guesswork with the seasonings, however much you like, whatever flavors you like, then add those. The next thing I add is some Italian seasoning, and about a tablespoon of that as well. That adds some really nice flavor. On top of that, I add a few more of the basil leaves, and I'm using the dry herbs because I don't have any fresh herbs right now. Otherwise, I'd use some of those. So about a tablespoon of that as well. And my little secret is I use some ground turmeric. And the reason I use this is because it's really, really good for you. It helps with inflammation. I just think it makes it look pretty too, because it adds a really nice yellow flavor to it. A really nice yellow color to it. Now, don't think it really adds a whole lot of flavor, but it does make the soup look really nice. We're going to take our spoon and just kind of stir it around a little bit. Chicken soup is pretty easy to do. There are so many different ways that you can do this. You can start with a raw chicken, which I did today, or you could even get a rotisserie chicken from Costco or Safeway, one of those places, and just throw the rotisserie chicken in here. Generally what I do is I'll buy a rotisserie chicken and we'll eat like the legs and the thighs off of it, and then I throw the rest of the chicken in a pot and I make the chicken broth with that, and it's so good. Unfortunately, my Costco didn't have any rotisserie chickens this time, so I'm using a chicken, just a raw chicken, which will be fine. It's actually going to taste really, really good. It just, I want to make sure that it cooks a little longer is all. Now I added carrots, onions, and celery to this, just to get that good flavor going in the broth. Once this is done, then I'll take the chicken out and debone that and then put the meat back in. And then usually what I do is I just let it cool and then I freeze it in serving sizes or containers that maybe will only serve two, since only two of us really eat it. So that way I can put it in the freezer and I can make it however I want to. I can make chicken noodle soup with it. All I got to do is add noodles to it. Or I can make chicken and rice or chicken and vegetable, but I'll have my base for it and it'll be ready. Or even just like it is perfect. So especially coming into winter, it's just so nice to have this on hand if you don't feel good or just it's cold out and you just want something warm. And this is just a really great go-to. So we're going to let that simmer for a while, and then we'll come back and I'll show you the rest.
So we are stirring our soup. It's starting to simmer really well, and just checking on our chicken here, making sure that it's cooking. Hey, listen guys, if you're enjoying this video, give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button. It means a lot to me to know that y'all are watching. I really appreciate it very much. So once this chicken is done, we're going to take it out. We are going to shred the chicken up and return it back to the pot. Today what I've done is I have also added some noodles to this once the chicken was completely cooked. And I broke it up into like little bite-sized pieces, and I used spaghetti noodles. You can use any kind of noodles you like. And we turned it into chicken noodle soup, and I shared this soup with some family members. It turned out really delicious. So once again, give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you leave comments if you'd like. Thanks guys, have a great day. Hi guys, welcome back. Today we are going to be making minestrone soup my way. Hey, please consider subscribing to my channel if you're enjoying these videos. So first off, we're going to start by putting one whole onion chopped into a pot, and I'm using a kind of a large pot today. I'm sauteing those onions in a little bit of olive oil. Next, I've got 5 cloves of garlic that and they're good sized cloves of garlic that I am chopping. You don't have to use fresh garlic. If you've got the minced garlic, that works. If you don't have minced, then just use some garlic powder. But we want to give those a good chop and add those into the pot as soon as those onions have gotten a little wilted in there. Give it a good stir. And we are going to be using our leftover meatloaf. So yeah, this is what's going to add that really great flavor. And once again, this is the minestrone soup done my way. So it's just my own take on minestrone soup. But that leftover meatloaf really adds a great flavor. And, you know, it's a good way to use up those leftovers. So to that, I am adding 9 cups of water and some Better Than bouillon. So I am just adding that bouillon in there, and I'm using a tablespoon. So we've got some nice heaping tablespoons going in there, and I've used about 3 and no, maybe 4. And you use whatever amount that will fit in your pot. Next, we've used some Italian seasoning and some basil. And once again, you're going to season it to your taste, but I've got a large pot here. Now I'm going to chop up some carrots. And I've got nice sized carrots here. So I've got 6 really good sized carrots that I'm cutting up, and I'm kind of cutting those about a little less than 1/4 of an inch maybe. And we're going to add that right in and give it a good stir. And next we've got some potatoes, and these potatoes are probably a little bit on the larger side, so I'm chopping and dicing those, and we're going to add those into the pot as well. And I've got 3 nice sized potatoes that I've cut up. So again, it's really up to you what you want to throw in there, but that's kind of my thing. I really enjoy in there are the carrots, the potatoes, the onions, and we're going to give that a nice stir and get that cooking. And now we're going to add in a couple of cans of green beans. So I did drain my green beans before I put them in there. And these green beans don't need to take as long to cook as the potatoes and carrots. So we want to make sure that those potatoes and carrots, give them a little bit of time, you know, like give them 5-10 minutes before you add the green beans. And I threw a can of garbanzo beans. If you don't like garbanzo beans, leave them out. It really doesn't matter. This is your way. The biggest part of this minestrone soup that I'm making is that meatloaf, because that adds huge flavor. And we're going in with some stewed tomatoes. And we're getting quite a bit of stuff in there, as you can see. Okay, now I am breaking up some spaghetti noodles. So, and I like to put quite a bit of spaghetti noodles in there. It's almost like a spaghetti soup when you're finished, at least it is to me. But this is the way that my family enjoys it. And then we're going to put a couple of squirts of ketchup in there. Now the sugar in the ketchup kind of neutralizes some of that acid from the tomatoes, and it adds a nice little flavor. And it's pretty vegetable-y, as you can see. Now here's another little tip. I used some spaghetti seasoning packets in this. This helps thicken it. It adds that great flavor. So once again, there is the feel of a spaghetti soup. But you know, if you've never tried this, you really should give it a try. It's really an easy soup to pull together, and it tastes so good. And like I said, I'm using a really large pot, so I put 3 packets of the spaghetti seasoning in here. And there it is. We let it simmer for about an hour, and we were ready to serve it up. So once again, if you like this video, guys, give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
Hi guys, welcome back to Dinner Made Easy with Dina, and I'm Dina. Today we are going to be making a creamy potato soup. It's absolutely a perfect recipe for a cooler fall dinner or lunch. So today I'm going to be pulling together a creamy potato soup, and it is so delicious and so easy. You're not going to believe how quickly we can pull that together. So stay tuned. I'm going to show you how to make that happen. Okay, so these are a few of the ingredients we're going to be using today. We are going to be using butter. I have 2 potatoes, 1 onion, and it's a large onion, so I may only use half of it. I have sea salt, and of course, this new Kinder's caramelized onion butter that is amazing. So we're going to put that in our soup today. We've got some black pepper and some garlic powder, and we also have I had some cheddar cheese, so I grated up some cheddar cheese, some green onion, and some bacon. And these are to top your soup with if you choose to. Okay, so we have our potatoes peeled. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them right in half. And I'm going to cut them in half again. And then 2 slices like that. And I'm just going to cut these in cubes. Now you can make the cube size however you want. I'm just making them in cube sizes about like this. So we got those 2 potatoes chopped up, and my pot's like half full, so that's quite a bit of potato. Now we're going to take our onion. I'm just going to slice the onion up because I'm going to do the onion separate from the potatoes, so that I get a nice saute on those onions. Gives it a nice flavor. There again, you chop your onions to whatever size you like. Or if you're not an onion fan, leave them out. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put just enough water to cover the potatoes. So we have just enough to cover those potatoes. And we're going to cook those until they're nice and tender. Okay, so I have a skillet on medium heat, and I'm going to brown these onions in about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Now when the onions are tender, I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of tablespoons of butter. And let's get that melted in there so that we can add our flour and form a roux. And we're doing this with the onions because it will really go into the potato soup much easier. Now remember, we're making a roux, so we need to make sure that flour gets cooked, and it's going to take about a minute or a minute and a half for that flour to be cooked. Now make sure that you're stirring it so we don't burn the roux, and you can even turn it down to about a medium-low heat as we're browning that flour up. Okay, so once the flour is cooked through, go ahead and turn the burner off and set that to the side. Make sure that you stir it though once in a while, just to make sure that we don't get it sticking to the bottom of that pan as we're waiting for those potatoes to be completely cooked through and before we move to the next step. Okay, so our potatoes look like they're almost ready, and we're going to check those out, and then we're going to move on to our next step. And this is our next step. We've got the potato masher out, and we're going to go ahead and mash those potatoes. If you have a hand blender, go ahead and feel free to use that if you like. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get these mashed up really well. I like my soup to be really creamy, but if you like to have some potato chunks in there, it's okay to leave some in at this point. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to stir the roux into the potatoes. And remember, this is going to thicken up really thick as we do this. So you want to get it in there and start stirring it as soon as you can so that we get it stirred in really well. There you go. And see how it's thickening as we're stirring. And this is just our base for our potato soup. The next thing we're going in with is I have half and half, and I added a cup and a half of half and half. Now, if you have cream, you can use that. If you don't have that, you can use regular milk, or even better would be evaporated milk. It's just really creamy and silky in this kind of soup. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put this towards the back, and we're going to continue to stir this and let it thoroughly heat as we're stirring it. Now, I always have my burner on like a medium-low at this point so we don't scorch our soup. And I have some salt. This is sea salt. And you're going to season to taste, but I'd say there's probably about a teaspoon of seasoning of salt that went in there. And about a teaspoon of garlic powder. Once again, this is to your taste. If you don't like garlic powder, leave it out. The next thing we're going to add is we're going to add some of this wonderful caramelized onion butter. That is so good. You guys really have to give that a try. And then we're going to add a little pepper to that. If you have white pepper, that's even better, but I didn't. So I used the black pepper that I did have on hand. And give that a good stir. Get those seasonings in there really well. And yes, we're going to use some Lawry's a little bit later because that just kind of rounds everything out. So I have a secret ingredient. I had some leftover mashed potatoes from dinner last night, so I used a cup and a half of mashed potatoes in this recipe as well. That makes it even better if you happen to have any. And stir that in really well. You get those potatoes all in there good. Now those were cold from the refrigerator, so you're going to need to stir those in if you have any. If you don't have any, it's not necessary. But I just thought, ooh, what a great way to make it even creamier. Oh my goodness, look at that. It looks so good. I'm telling you, it's a great recipe, you guys, and it's so easy. This is what we're adding last, our Lawry seasoning salt. Yep. And listen, this is a super easy recipe, you guys. If I can do it, you can do it. It's so easy, and it's fairly quick if you're in a hurry and you just don't know what to make for dinner. Cream of potato soup, maybe a sandwich or a salad with that, and then you're good. Okay. All right, it's time to plate that up. Let's go ahead and get that into a bowl so we can give that a taste. Oh my goodness. That to me is like the perfect texture because it's got just a few little potato lumps in it, but not a lot. And that is going to be a great dinner for me, I'll tell you. There we go. And we only used 2 large potatoes in all of this. Okay, so let's dress it up just a little bit. We're going to add some of our cheddar cheese to the top. Now, this is all about your own personal taste. You don't have to do this if you don't like it. I happen to enjoy it, so I put some bacon on there as well, and some of the green onions. And oh my, yum, that looks so good. I can hardly wait to taste that. Okay, that was super easy to pull together, and now we're going to give it a taste test. If you don't like cheese in your soup, you don't need to put it in there. Same with the bacon or the onions. Those are all optional. So let's give that a taste. And always make sure that you taste for seasoning before you serve your soup. Sometimes it needs a little more salt, sometimes a little more pepper. Okay. That is very good. Really good for a rainy day or just when you just feel like eating soup. It's excellent. Okay guys, thanks for joining. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. There is a notification bell. If you hit that notification bell, it tells you when my next videos are up. Appreciate any comments or feedback that you have on that. Let me know how you make your potato soup. I really appreciate hearing about it. And you guys have a great day. Thanks now. Bye.